dang, like he or she's killing them. But you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old. Like, you should be killing them.
Yeah.
Sheryl Swoopes she's lighting herself on fire, Steve. They had to pull her off a game because she can't be trusted to call CaitlinClark games correctly or fairly. They basically pulled her off the game for racism. You're too much of a bigot to call CaitlinClark games.
That said, Caitlin was, 25 years old. She was, 24 years old. She was a fifth-year senior. Right. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate. And I got off the treadmill and I called her as a friend. And I said, you can say whatever you want. You can have your own opinion about anybody.
Just hours before game time, Sheryl Swoopes vanished from the WNBA broadcast team. No heads up, no statement. She was simply gone. The silence from the league spoke volumes. Why the sudden move? Because the murmurs had grown too loud to ignore. What fans had quietly speculated for weeks was now crystal clear. This wasn't commentary. It was a calculated takedown. Swoopes hadn't merely criticized CaitlinClark. She'd orchestrated a quiet, pointed campaign against her. As Clark continued to shatter records and draw national attention, Sheryl's cold shoulder became impossible to miss. Then came the receipts, screenshots, clips, and patterns. And suddenly, the league hit the emergency brakes. Was this a long overdue correction for unchecked bias, or a distraction from something far more chaotic behind closed doors?
According to Swoopes, she used her extra year of eligibility. So is that true? Well, a simple search would show Clark has only played 3 years.
Let's be honest. Sheryl Swoopes didn't just criticize CaitlinClark. She dismissed her entirely. She minimized her accomplishments, cherry-picked stats, and twisted narratives. And when people started pushing back, she didn't explain, she deflected, calling everyone else delusional. But it wasn't just about commentary. After Diamond DeShields leveled Clark with a viral hip check, Swoopes chimed in online, not with analysis, but with a cryptic post, "Head up, kid. Hate will not win. You are covered. Nothing these evil people can do about that." Evil people subtle? Not even close. Sheryl doesn't do subtle anymore. Her shade comes in 4K with a ring light. And this wasn't a one-off. When Clark earned Player of the Week, dropping 22 points, dishing out 8 assists, and breaking the rookie three-point record, her co-host applauded her live on air. Sheryl, stone-faced, jaw locked, brows twitching, like someone had asked her to toast her ex's engagement. That wasn't dead air. It was loaded silence. And the message rang clear. If it's Caitlin, I'm not clapping that SO when the Indiana Fever squared off against the Dallas Wings, a matchup dripping with tension. The WNBA made a quiet but unmistakable move. Sheryl was pulled from the broadcast. No fanfare, no official word. Just gone that I in her place? Nancy Lieberman and Ron Thulin. Veterans who stick to the game, not the drama. Because the last time Swoopes had the MIC during a CaitlinClark moment, fans didn't get analysis. They got a masterclass in resentment.
So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
Once more, a simple search would show this. CaitlinClark is not 25. She's not the elder stateswoman rather. On January 22nd, her birthday, she turned 22. Normal in collegiate hoops. At this point, considering the lengths Sheryl Swoopes has gone to deceive the truth, it feels like she just flat out despises CaitlinClark.
If Sheryl Swoopes had simply said, "I'm not sold on CaitlinClark's game," no one would have blinked. That's an opinion. Fair game. But that's not what happened. Instead, she rolled out a full-blown disinformation campaign. First came the strange and flat-out wrong claim that Clark played 5 or 6 seasons in college. The implication? She had a small eternity to chase Kelsey Plum's scoring record. Reality check. Clark played 3 full seasons and a COVID-shortened freshman year. Less time than Plum, But Sheryl didn't stop there. She doubled down, insisting the record shouldn't count unless it was broken within the same number of seasons it was originally set. Really? We're doing basketball by Fibonacci sequence now.
Problem is, she's the one that brought her professional objectivity into focus by her own behavior. What possible excuse could you have talking about the Indiana Fever and nary a mention of CaitlinClark? How is that possible? How's that possible? You know what Indiana was before she arrived. You know what their attendance was before she arrived. You know what merchandise sales was before she arrived. You know what attendance was before she arrived. You know what the ratings were before she arrived. How could you not mention her? It makes no sense. And how she's revolutionized fan engagement in women's basketball. Overall attendance, in case you missed it, is up by 20%, breaking TV viewership ratings and merchandise sales. Either way you slice it, it's clear that we're witnessing a golden era in the sport.
Then it got downright absurd. Sheryl Swoopes publicly claimed CaitlinClark was 25 years old, 3 full years older than reality. Imagine branding a rookie as senior citizen just to undermine her dominance. That's not analysis. That's sabotage.at every time. Sheryl bent facts to fit her narrative. And the wildest part? Her swagger. She acted like no one could just Google the truth, as if fact-checkers had packed up and left. But the distortions didn't stop at age or stats. Clark shattered records, sold out arenas, and boosted TV ratings by 200%. Sheryl still refused to even say her name. Instead, she insisted the Indiana Fever would have made the playoffs regardless. Let's rewind for a second. This is a team that won 5 games total last season. 5. And now, suddenly, they are postseason contenders without their number 1 pick. This isn't basketball commentary. It's revisionist fan fiction.
To answer that question, CaitlinClark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Now, if we say her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5
That's crazy.
Is
that dominant?
5.6
Those are
turnovers,
hell of a
too.
number.
Those are hell
For
of
a
a numbers.
rookie.
But to me, that's not
Period.
dominating.
Yeah, it's only not dominating because she's a rookie.
Now,
If
No.
yeah,
so
because if she's putting up numbers like Asia right now, would she be dominating?
yes.
So it's about
Yeah.
the numbers. I don't look at the domination.
There's passive hate, and then there's Sheryl Swoopes. This wasn't just about skipping CaitlinClark in highlight reels. Sheryl tried to erase her entirely, from podcasts, post-game breakdowns, and even WNBA promos. Clark's name was carefully scrubbed. If Sheryl talked to the Fever, she avoided saying Clark like it was Voldemort. We were 1 episode away from hearing the player who shall not be named. But here's the kicker. The impact was impossible to ignore. The moment Clark arrived, the Indiana Fever went from league basement dwellers to primetime darlings. Ticket sales exploded. Merch flew off shelves faster than a Beyoncé dropped. ESPN scrambled to air more games. TV ratings surged 200%. She shattered over 60 rookie records, points, assists, threes. You name it, even Charles Barkley stepped in. If you don't market CaitlinClark, you're stupid. Period. So how did Sheryl respond? By insisting another role player mattered more to their team than Clark did to the Fever. She claimed Angel Reese was more crucial to Chicago than Clark was to Indiana. Babe, what game are you watching? Are those highlights or hallucinations? It's not a knock on Angel. She's a rising star. But Clark, she's leading her team in every major stat and dragging them into playoff contention. Meanwhile, Sheryl still acted like Clark was a walk-on with a bench pass. And now, the league has spoken. Sheryl Swoopes is out. No grand farewell. No send-off speech. Just quietly pulled from broadcasts, replaced by commentators who stick to the game, not grudges. Because this wasn't just a difference of opinion. It was a question of professional integrity. You can't have a commentator on air pretending the league's biggest star doesn't exist, especially when 500,000 people are watching. The moment was subtle but seismic. In a league still fighting for the national spotlight. You don't bench a Hall of Famer lightly. But the WNBA did exactly that. Sheryl Swoopes, one of the women who helped build this league, got the quiet boot. Not for a bad take, because she let personal bias overshadow the story unfolding live in court. The tipping point? Clark dropped 35 points and a record-breaking barrage of threes against Washington, and Sheryl still refused to give credit, calling it good coaching. And when Clark's name came up during a panel, Sheryl grimaced like someone had just said, Team Taylor over Team Beyonce. The WNBA had enough. This was an analysis in a more that IT was sabotage, subtle, strategic, and far more calculated than most realized that so the league made a choice. Clarity over chaos. Sheryl Swoopes got benched. Not by Coach WY history. Quick pause. If you're still watching, drop a comment. Was Sheryl's bias too obvious? We read every single one. And trust me, this story is just getting messier.
That I made those comments because I'm a racist. Like, first of all, black people can't be racist, but like that's the farthest thing from my mind. Like, I grew up in a very small West Texas town, predominantly white. My best childhood friend is white. So it's important for me that I speak up for people that look like me. Like, it's Black History Month. So, like, our ancestors fought and died for us to have opportunities that we have today. I have, like, no issues with Caitlin. Her breaking the record, I think, obviously is a tremendous accomplishment, although, you know, we could get into that discussion also, because there was a big debate on Lynette Woodard having the actual record.
Let's talk numbers, because when the hype fades and emotions settle, the stats don't lie. And honestly, they are brutal. CaitlinClark, in her rookie season, is outproducing Sheryl Swoopes' MVP year. Go ahead. Read that again. Swoopes in 2002, 18.5 points, 3.6 assists, 5 rebounds, a legendary stat line, no doubt. But Clark, as a rookie, over 20 points, nearly 9 assists, 6 rebounds per game. That's not just good for a rookie. That's historic. In any era. And no, this isn't stat padding. Clark achieves this while being targeted every night, trapped, bumped, and knocked down. Refs swallow whistles. The hits keep coming, yet she keeps showing up. That she's not just scoring, that she's controlling tempo, finding teammates, and draining logo threes like they are warm-up shots. That she's shifting the energy of entire arenas. That she's changing the game. Meanwhile, Sheryl Swoopes is stuck in denial. She clings to tired talking points. Like Clark shoots 40 times a game, she doesn't. Or the Fever has other stars. As if those players weren't getting open because of Clark's gravity. It's cognitive dissonance in a headband. Watching a rookie rewrite history and still insisting the pen isn't real. At some point, you have to ask, what's really bothering Sheryl? Is it the stats threatening her legacy? Or the spotlight that's no longer on her? Here's where things get uncomfortable, because this isn't just about basketball. It's about culture. It's about identity. And it's about the complicated legacy of race in women's sports. Sheryl Swoopes' criticism of CaitlinClark didn't happen in a vacuum. IT taps into a long-standing, uncomfortable narrative where white athletes, especially those receiving massive media attention, are scrutinized differently, often more harshly, particularly by those who feel that spotlight has overshadowed others. When Swoopes was called out, her response only deepened the divide. She said, "Black people can't be racist." She mentioned having white childhood friends, but she never addressed the optics, the pattern of obsessively targeting one player with negativity while ignoring the broader moment the league is in. And that's the real shame. That women's basketball should be unified right now. CaitlinClark brought millions of new eyes to the sport. Eyes that didn't stop at her. They now see Angel Reese, AJA Wilson, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Plum, and the incredible black talent that has always carried this game. This could have been a moment of collective elevation. Instead, Swoopes came off like a gatekeeper, sending a message that unless success looks a certain way, it doesn't count. The result? A fracture. Younger fans who see Clark as a rising icon now see Swoopes as a hated. Longtime WNBA loyalists are torn. Defend a pioneer or call out a pattern. And the saddest part, it didn't have to be this way. Sheryl could have meant it. She could have embraced it. She could have evolved. Instead, she alienated, and now the WNBA is left to clean up the mess. Outro. CaitlinClark didn't just walk into the WNBA. She detonated it. And in the fallout, we saw who could evolve and who couldn't. Sheryl Swoopes helped build this house, but now she's locked outside, all because she couldn't say 2 simple words: she's great. If you think this drama is wild, just wait, because in today's WNBA, no one's untouchable. Hit that subscribe button, because the next time a legend fumbles the bag, you'll want front row seats.